I just want to share with you an example of how I modified one English 10 common assessment for my class of reluctant and struggling learners. So, on the left of the screen here, you see the general requirements for the English 10 common assessment. It is a 4+ page paper exploring a student generated research question. It has to The students have to use 5 sources that they found themselves and have evaluated for credibility. It has to have 4 or more body paragraphs, and they also have to give a 3 to 5 minute presentation with a visual aid of research paper content to the class. Um, so roadblocks that come up in this project, things that throw students off course or lead to students eventually not turning in a project, and because this is such a big project in English 10, then failing second semester, um, include failure to complete requisite steps. Obviously, this is a process, so students, if they haven't completed the first step in the process, can't move on to the second step, and so students often get caught or get stuck, get held behind because they haven't completed a step. And so then there's the problem of getting behind, either because of absences, um, or because they're not getting enough work done uh, in class or between classes. Whatever the reason may be, there's the problem of them getting behind. And then there's the problems that they can encounter sourcing information. There are a lot of different problems they can encounter sourcing information. Sometimes they find a lot of sources, but they don't read them well. And then when they start to write their paper, find that they don't contain all of the information that they need. Sometimes students generate a research topic that they're really committed to exploring, but then can't find enough sources on that topic. Um, Sometimes students have trouble finding credible sources or even used banned sources. And then when it comes to actually writing the paper, a lot of them struggle with how to get started, how to organize their ideas and the information that they have. So when I set out to modify this project for my English 10 classes, I had to come up with solutions to circumvent each of these roadblocks. So, what I did was I developed 9 teacher generated topics, which uh, allowed me to prevent failure to complete requisite steps from being a problem, because I can provide things to get students caught up to the steps that we're on. Because the topics are because there is a finite number of topics, and because all materials are being provided by myself, the teacher, um, I can have those catch up materials ready. I also collected 3 sources for each topic, so that again helps with the failure to complete requisite steps. If a student doesn't get sources for a paper, I have sources to provide them. Getting sources doesn't become a problem. Also, by providing the sources to my students, they don't end up having problems sourcing information because I have checked those sources to make sure that the paper can be written using those sources. So it has all the information that they could need and more. Um, Another thing that I've done to address the problem of getting behind is I've recorded instructional videos for each step of the project. So a lot of times students struggle to complete steps that they missed because they don't have the benefit of having the instruction that went along with that step. So this allows them to access that instruction whenever they are ready for it, which isn't always when I'm ready to be presenting it to the class, at least not for everyone. The other thing that I do to prevent students from getting behind is I do progress checks during workshops. I run around the room like a crazy person, checking to make sure that they have one step before we move on. So it can be kind of a painstaking task, but it is really important and it really helps to keep students from falling behind, because once they do fall behind, um, they don't have a lot of faith in their ability to get caught up without your guidance. Some additional interventions that I use are, if a student, for example, doesn't select one of the 9 topics, I will pick one for them. And there are some setup steps that we do at the beginning to get them the materials that they need for their specific topic option. And if students fail to complete those steps, I will complete those for them again to get them caught up to the point where they can rejoin the class with what they're doing. So, if we look at this in a side by side comparison, um, how does this work out? Well, 308 project is a little bit different because instead of doing both a paper and a presentation, students are given a choice between writing a paper and recording a presentation. This allows students who really don't have a lot of faith in their ability to write to have another way to communicate their ideas and express their knowledge about the topic. It also prevents students from being in a position where they don't turn in 2 different summatives related to this project. There's only one task for them to complete. I found that when I did do both, a lot of times I only got one or the other. So that helps as well. In both options, students are held accountable for citing their sources using MLA format. So all of the writing skills are still being addressed. It's just, it looks a little bit different the way that students give it to me. And then as far as additional requirements go, they only have 3 body paragraphs to contend with. They don't have to wrap their mind around how to expand past that 5-paragraph essay structure that they are just now mastering. So the other thing that's come out of me developing this modified project for my classes is that the materials that I've generated to modify this assessment for 308 can also be used as interventions for struggling students in English, other English 10 classes. So that has allowed them to have a lot of resources to RTI. So for example, if a student doesn't generate a question on their own, they can be provided a topic. If a student isn't able to find sources and is behind on the project because they couldn't find sources for their research topic question, it has to very quickly come up with a new topic and find sources for it. A topic and the sources can be given to them. So again, it allows them to catch up really, really quickly and get back on track. So you can see that the 308 task is mostly the same. They have to do almost everything that the other English 10 students have to do. They just have a lot more guidance in doing it, and there are some controls that have been put in place to make sure that they're not experiencing the sorts of problems that often will frustrate students to the point where they'd give up on this. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. But that is one example of a modified common assessment.